everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in to DentonRadio.com. We always appreciate you guys being here. On the phone with us, we have got writer and director of the upcoming film, The Uncomfortable Truth, that is going to be playing at the Denton Black Film Festival coming up very soon, January 25th through 28th. Loki, thank you very much for being on the phone with us. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you doing this interview and of course, participating in the festival here. For anybody that has not checked it out or is unfamiliar, go to dentonbff.com and you'll be able to get all the info on this very, very cool festival that is coming up. So, Loki, go ahead and give us a little bit of your information because you got a very cool story and a very cool background. And then I want to go into the film just a little bit.
Well, my background, I've been in film for about 20 years now, and this is my third feature film, my second documentary, and yeah, I was born and raised in Arlington, Virginia. My mother is Joan Trumpauer Mulholland, who's a civil rights icon, and our family history, which ties in back into the film, which is discussed in the film, is we actually arrived in Jamestown in 1610 on the Hercules, and that's on my mother's side. My father's side, I can go right back to the last living signer of the Declaration of Independence.
Wow!
So we're steeped in American history in my
No
side
kidding.
of the family.
Well, and you do, and that is what's so interesting about your bio is you got a rich history that really pops out. So, tell us about the film, and then we'll kind of bring it all full circle about how all of this is what brought this whole project together.
Sure. Well, The Uncomfortable Truth is a project. It's a film about the history of institutional racism in America that looks across the 400-year span, going back to 1619 when the 20-odd African slaves, first arrived, and takes us up to the present and to what we're looking at today. And it's told through two main characters. It's myself and Lou Von Brown, who was one of the original freedom riders who grew up in Mississippi in the Delta, out where Emmett Till was killed. And it's these two different viewpoints of this history. And I'm doing this exploration and learning about this family history while he's talking about the Black experience. And our families have this kind of interesting intersect in that we took two very divergent paths in American history. Mine would create the rules that would enslave his, and yet they would intersect in the summer of 1961 with the freedom rides. My mother was also a freedom rider, and she was actually the first white woman he ever trusted. And our families would be connected ever since in that regards. And so it's how beyond just telling the history of racism and stuff and how we got to where we are, there's a little bit of that. If you really read between the lines, how we can break down those barriers and move forward.
Well, give us a couple of highlights. We got the chance before we got started to go through some of the stories, and give us a couple of little stories and some of the pieces you can take away from the film.
Oh gosh! All right.
Well, just a little taste. We want to make sure people go and see it, but I want to give them a little preview of some of the stuff that they can go see.
Well, just a little background on how the film came to be. We were working on the documentary about my mother's life and that of the student movement. It's called An Ordinary Hero. Ended up appearing on PBS and playing at the Smithsonian and such. And as we were shooting the film, before the camera crew arrived, Lou Von Brown and I were sitting down and talking, and he said something that just really jumped out at me. He said, everyone knows where the drugs are, but you'll never see a SWAT team raid a university, but you'll always find them in the hood. And that struck me because I thought I knew a little something, about civil rights movement and racism and these sort of things. But what he was talking about was kind of new territory for me, the way he was, coming at it. And that got me researching. I researched for about 6 years when I was making this film, and my family and everything else. And just got to the point where when I sat down to actually start writing the script, I just got hung up every time because I didn't feel like I was doing anything new. I wasn't breaking any new sort of ground with this. It wasn't anything that anyone else couldn't make. That's what's important about a film, is you want to bring something new to the table. And that's when the thought came, is, check your family history.
Mm-hmm.
And so a story that my grandmother used to tell me, I hadn't thought about in 20 years, came back to me in an instant. And it's what we call the 100 slave story in our family. Mm. And the story that my grandmother had shared, that before the war, our family had over 100 slaves. And when it ended, they were all told that they were free to go. If they left, they could never come back. Mm. But if they stayed, they'd be paid, and so forth. And of those 100 slaves, only one left. Mm. And my grandmother would always add, that's how well we treated our slaves. Mm. The truth of that story is even more intriguing. And I turned to my wife and said, I've got it. The whole movie's done. But I could see how the film would play out with this story. But it said, check your family history. That was the thought that came. And so I started digging into our family history, and that's when I found out that about Jamestown in 1610, and we would go on, and our family would serve, become one of the original planter elites and serve in the House of Burgess. So, we helped start the whole thing. Wow. And I think that kind of gives me, along with my mother's history and so forth, a position, to speak from. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what this film is about, is giving voice and telling these uncomfortable stories. I have a lot of people in the South who see the film, particularly white people who say to me, wow, this is just like my family. Mm-hmm. And I really got to start thinking about this, which was, what you hope for.
Yeah, of course. Wow. Well, we're all looking forward to it. I've been hearing great things about it. Congratulations on all the success with this film, as well as the others, An Ordinary Hero and all of the work you've been able to put out. So if somebody is interested to go see this film and be a part of the festival, what time can they go and see this one?
This one plays on the Friday the 26th, I want to say. Nice. And it's at 4:45 p.m.
Perfect. Well, guys, you heard it here first. Make sure you check out the Denton Black Film Festival. For further information, you can go to dentonbff.com. The man is Loki Molholland. Thank you very, very much for hanging out with us and talking a little bit about the film. Really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Looking forward to seeing everyone out there.
Yeah. Guys, make sure you go and check it out. The Uncomfortable Truth, playing here in Denton, Texas at the Denton Black Film Festival. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and being here with us. We'll see you in just a little bit. We're going to be talking about another film. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.